Hello everybody. I've called this Waymarker the raging sea, and I want to speak about fear. And as you know, without any definition, fear is a crippling emotion. It's a roadblock on our journey, and it gets in the way of our relationship to God. It's a very powerful emotion. It's so powerful that at times we feel in danger of being overwhelmed by it. The dictionary defines it as an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain or harm. You know what, we don't have to know or understand a definition in order to feel it. I remember for me at times it's something almost like a punch in the stomach, or we walk around what we describe it as a knot in our stomach. We know what it feels like. It's a horrible thing. I'm speaking about this today because it's an emotion that is common to each one of us, each one of you that's listening today. And it came in with the fall, when it was seeded by Satan into our human nature. It's because of the devil that we're infected with fear. It was never meant to be like that. The first act of Adam and Eve after sinning and rebelling against God's commands was an act of fear. They hid from God. And so often when we're afraid, when those emotions are so powerful, we seem to do the very opposite of what we know is right, and we hide away from God, and we hide away from friends, and we hide away from church. We hide from His love, from His presence, from His mercy. And we can become fearful for many reasons. The fear of death is the biggest fear, actually. It comes to all of us in different ways. The fear of suffering or of pain or of rejection, the fear of losing a job, the fear of how other people see us, the fear of losing a home, the fear that comes into us on behalf of others, especially family. And the wonderful news is about being a Christian is that there is an antidote to this crippling emotion, and the antidote is faith. Trust in Jesus. Trusting in who He is. Trust, by the way, is simply the exercise of the faith. It's exercising what we say we believe. All of us need to come to a place where we can truly say, I believe what I believe. But the antidote is faith. Who Jesus is, what is done, what is promised, what is commanded. It's why He spent a long time teaching His disciples about this. And He spends a long time, I feel, teaching us as well. It can take a lifetime. But it's a wonderful thing He's teaching us. Two incidents for me stood out as I was thinking about this. In the Gospels, there are two storms that take place at sea. And in Scripture, as you read through the whole Bible, the sea is often symbolic of fear. It's a place of threat. It's a place of harm. Psalm 107, for example, speaks about this. And when the Israelites came to the Red Sea and they had to cross it, there's fear associated with that. And in all these incidents, as you read through, there's always the antidotes flagged up. And the antidote is where God says, trust me. And where Jesus says, trust me, don't be afraid. It comes up again and again. There's a huge amount about fear in the Bible and how to overcome it. I haven't time to study those two storms. I'd love to, but it'd be a long study. So I just picked out some things that came to me that I thought might be helpful for you. But I'd just encourage you to read as well. I'll put the references along with the song for this one. Here's some quick thoughts. The boat in the storm, that represents you and me on our journeys in the midst of the storms of life. And in particular, I'm thinking about when fear comes upon you. You feel like this little boat being tossed about on this raging sea. Sometimes, as in the first storm that's recorded, Jesus is with us. We might even be aware of His presence. Very aware, in fact. It might come through somebody else telling us, you know what, Jesus is with you, or we might even feel he is. But even so, in the midst of these powerful emotions, it feels like he's asleep, as he was that day in the boat. He's asleep. And like the disciples, we say, inwardly, if not outwardly, don't you care, Lord? Don't you care? I'm drowning in this fear. Don't you ever felt that? I've felt that. It goes with the territory of being a human being, but also it's this powerful emotion that comes upon us. And Jesus is training them to have faith, even though it might look like he's asleep. And he's training you and me. He's training us to have faith rather than fear, so that we can say, I trust you, Jesus, even though I'm afraid and you seem to be asleep. He can handle the fact we think that about him, by the way. Doesn't judge us. He's training them in the kind of faith that recognises just who he is, with the kind of character he is, the power and authority he has in the boat with us. You know, the disciples said when he calmed the sea, he said, who is this man? And he wants us to know who he is, that he has power and authority, even when it looks like he's asleep, even when it feels like he's not interested in us dealing with these storms of life. He says, trust me to deal with your fear. It's like Psalm 23, fear no evil, for I am with you. That's such an important verse. And it's got to move from our heads into our hearts and into action. He wants to train us to choose as an act of will to trust him, to exercise our faith when we're afraid, choosing not to fear. Lord, I choose not to fear you right now. I might feel it. The circumstances look terrible. I feel rubbish. But I'm choosing to trust you because you tell me again and again that you're trustworthy, that you're always with me, and that I needn't be afraid. And Lord, you've proved that to me before in the past. With Jesus in my boat and in your boat, miracles happen. I'll just repeat that. With Jesus in your boat and in my boat, miracles happen. But we only get to see them if we trust and we don't hide and we don't run away from him. During that first storm, of course, he commands the storm to cease and all is calm. Beautiful, beautiful words. He is greater than the storm, and he is greater than your fear. He's greater than my fear. In the second storm, you could easily miss this little miracle. He gets into the boat with the disciples. The storm ceases, all is calm. They stop being terrified. But then you read this bit, immediately the boat reached the other side. They were only halfway across the lake. That's a little miracle we can miss. That they arrived at their destination immediately. And that's just to say that when he's in the boat with us, look for miracles. And interestingly, in that second storm, just to finish with on about storm, they had to invite him into the boat. It looked like he was going to pass by, but he was training them again and saying to them, as he said to us, invite me into your boat. Invite me in. And you'll find there's a power and authority much greater than you have. And just to finish, it reminded me, back in 2015, we had a really lovely holiday on Orkney. But to start with, we had to catch a ferry across. I think it's from a place called Scrabster. But it was quite a stormy day and a stormy sea. And so it's one of those where the boat's waiting like a big catamaran that you drive the cars on and off. And it's bouncing around so much that you had to time driving on Otherwise you kind of go crunch. So the guys on the boat saying, right now, come on now. I remember my older brother who's with us, I gave him the task of driving because he's more confident than me. And as you get on board the deck, you can see like whirlpools in the water, and I'm thinking, man, this looks dangerous. There was an element of fear, but then I happened to glance up, and I could see where the captain was sat, and he had his feet up. He was just really relaxed. And from that moment, I thought, you know what? I'm going to trust the captain. He's done this trip so many times. He's trustworthy. He's relaxed. And I just pray today for us, for you and for me, that we catch a glimpse of our captain. We catch a glimpse of Jesus. He's relaxed. He has power. He has authority greater than we know. And he wants you to know that right now in whatever your fear is. And here's just a little song to finish called You Stilled the Storm to a Whisper. It's based on Psalm 107. You stilled the storm to a whisper, the waves of the sea were hushed. We were glad when it grew calm, glad you were with us. Why did you doubt me, he asked us, why were you so full of fear? Don't you know in every storm I am always near? You are the Lord, even the wind and waves bow down at your voice. You are the Lord, all of creation sings, earth and heaven rejoice. Greater than the pounding waves, mightier by far, greater than my doubts and fears, how majestic you are. Greater than the pounding waves, mightier by far, greater than my doubts and fears, how majestic you are. Lord, I thank you today that you are greater than any fear that we're feeling right now. You're greater than our sicknesses, greater than our weakness. You're greater than the faith that we have, or the failures that we feel. So I pray for each person listening. I thank you that your perfect love casts out all fear. So I pray in these moments that you would come to each one of us, and that fear would be driven far away. Greater than the pounding waves, mightier by far, greater than my doubts and fears, how majestic you are. You stilled the storm to a whisper, the waves of the sea were hushed. We were glad when it grew calm, glad you were with us. Why did you doubt me, he asked us, why were you so full of fear? Have faith in every storm, know that I am here, and I'm greater than the pounding waves, mightier by far. I am greater than your doubts and fears. You are the Lord, You are the Lord.